Alex Eala's Wimbledon campaign came to an end. 3-set loss to Italy's Jasmine Paolini.
$948 hours. One 21-year-old from Manila. That is reportedly what it took for the WTA to fall into shock. Wimbledon tickets crashing to the price of a London sandwich the day Alex Eala walked off centre court for the last time this fortnight. Whether the exact digit was 9 or somewhere near it, the story tearing across social platforms captured something the tournament's own accountants could not spin. The seat you could not buy on Friday was reportedly the seat nobody wanted on Monday afternoon. And the reason for that gap has a name and a serve and a taped left forearm and a quote she posted before she ever needed it. Stake your prediction below. Where does Alex Eala finish the US Open in August? And does she leave New York inside the world's top 20? Follow the channel. Rewind 72 hours. Same court, same tournament, different universe. On July 4th, 2026, Alex Eala beat the defending Wimbledon champion Against 7-6 in the 9th point of a tiebreak, then 6-2 in a second set that ended with the loudest ovation center court had delivered all fortnight. Like she's won a semi-final. They absolutely. 2 days later, she walked out again as a 29th seed, this time against Jasmine Paolini, the 13th seed in last year's Wimbledon finalist with preventive tape wrapped around her left forearm. That tape is where the fairy tale started to crack. Paolini won 6,446.63 on Monday, July 6. Clean match, no controversy, no villain in tennis whites. The villain, if there is one, showed up an hour later in the marketplace outside the stadium. According to viral reports circulating on YouTube channels within hours of the final ball, center court resale seats began appearing at prices so low they read like typos. $9 for the court, where Roger Federer once cried. $9 for the court where 2 days earlier 10,000 people had risen to their feet for a Filipina nobody outside Manila had heard of a year ago. The WTA did not release a statement. Wimbledon did not release a statement. Neither had to. The screenshots did the talking. And the pattern they exposed was not about Paolini and not about Swiatek. It was about a tournament that had quietly accidentally tied 1 week of its economy to one player's tournament life. Start with a fact that cannot be argued. Friday, July 4th, center court, Eala versus Swiatek, the defending champion, the world number 3, a 5-time major winner. Takes a first set in a tie-break that stretches of 18 points. She takes the second 6-2. Wimbledon's own Instagram account posts the highlight reel within the hour. 22,000 likes and climbing. The most engaged clip on the tournament's grid that day. This was not a lucky underdog moment. This was a defending champion being dismantled on the sport's most sacred lawn by a player ranked outside the top 30. Now compress the timeline the way the market did. Friday, standing ovation. Saturday, her face on every Filipino newspaper front page, and a viral photo with Catherine, Princess of Wales. Sunday, rest day. Monday afternoon, gone. And by Monday evening, center court seats reportedly changing hands for less than the strawberries and cream sold inside the gate. Compare that to what Eala herself walked away with. $300,000 in prize money. Roughly $396,000. A projected new career high ranking of world number 28, the highest any Filipina has ever climbed. While the resale market for her seat was allegedly cratering, the market for her future was multiplying by the hour. This is where the fans who called it early get their moment. Every Filipino who bought a Wimbledon streaming pass because of one player, every diaspora household in Dubai and California and Toronto that stayed up past midnight for a round of 16, the market just confirmed what you already knew. You were not being sentimental. You were watching the tournament's actual demand curve and calling it out loud before the accountants caught up. Here is the fact check that makes the story sharper, not softer. Wimbledon has always operated a charity resale kiosk behind number 1 court where return center court tickets sell for £15 and outer show courts for 10. That system is not new. It is philanthropic by design with every pound funneled to the Wimbledon Foundation. So the raw number $9, $10.15 was never the shock. The shock was that a system nobody talked about for years suddenly became the headline the moment a 21-year-old Filipina lost a third set. Pattern recognition, then the Emma Raducanu US Open run of 2021 quadrupled UK viewership overnight. The Leylah Fernandez final run that same fortnight sold out Ash. The Coco Golf Wimbledon debut at 15 drove a demographic surge tennis had not seen in a decade. Every time a non-favorite from an underrepresented tennis nation catches fire at a slam, the local demand curve moves with them and collapses without them. Eala did not break the model. Eala confirmed it. And she confirmed it against the defending champion on the biggest court in the sport in a match Wimbledon's own social team could not stop replaying. Consider the voice that has been sitting in the Wimbledon commentary booth watching every ball this fortnight. 18 Grand Slam singles titles. 9 of them won on the very grass where Eala just wrote her name. A Hall of Famer whose opinion of a young player has for 4 decades functioned as an early scouting report the entire tour eventually catches up to. Martina Navratilova watched the Paolini match live on APA broadcast recap circulating on tennis forums. She flagged the serve as an area need to sharpen while praising the Filipina's competitive intensity against a former Wimbledon finalist. That is not a dismissal, in Navratilova's vocabulary, pointing to a single fixable technical flaw in a 21-year-old who just beat the defending champion is closer to a compliment than a critique. It is a tone reserved for players he believes will be back. When the person who has won the tournament 9 times treats you as a work in progress worth diagnosing, the market's reaction to your absence stops being a coincidence. The reported ticket collapse points at something the tour has been pretending not to notice for years. Tennis's next great commercial pull is not going to come from another Central European academy or another Florida-trained prodigy. It is coming from Southeast Asia, where over 100 million people just watched one of their own take a set off the defending Wimbledon champion in prime time. Look at the next 90 days. The North American hardcourt swing begins in early August with Canadian Open in Montreal, then Cincinnati, then the US Open starting the final week of the month. Eala's projected number 28 ranking would make her the first Filipina ever to enter a Grand Slam main draw as a seeded player. Every tournament director on that swing is already redoing their session ticket projections. Every apparel executive who watched a Filipina crowd hijack an outer court in southwest London is redoing their endorsement models. The prediction is not risky. It is arithmetic. Within 12 months, Alex Eala will not be a story about ticket prices. She will be a story about which tournament wins a bidding war for her wild cards. She addressed the loss without flinching. Her serve, she admitted, was not where it needed to be. She said everyone has days when their best tennis does not show up. And she said the only thing she can control is how she approaches the next one. Then there was a message she had posted on Instagram 48 hours earlier, right after the Swai Tech win, before she knew what Monday would bring. She wrote that you do not have to win every time to inspire others, that pressure creates stronger people, and that the toughest moments often shape the greatest comebacks. Read in sequence. It looks less like a caption and more like a note she wrote to her future self and left on the counter. The $9 ticket, the £300,000 check, the standing ovation for Sway 8, the tape on her left forearm, the quote about paving the way for young girls that Reuters put on the wire before anyone knew how prophetic it would sound 4 days later. The tickets did not crash because Alex Eala lost. They crashed because for 1 week she made a 149-year-old tournament worth more than it had asked to be worth, and the marketplace corrected the second she stopped playing. That is not a collapse. That is a valuation. Now, the question worth arguing over in the comments, should Wimbledon be doing more to protect demand around players who move markets like this? Or does a reported $9 seat prove that one 21-year-old from Manila has already outgrown the tournament that gave her center court? Stake your prediction below. Where does Alex Eala finish the US Open in August? And does she leave New York inside the world's top 20? Follow the channel and settle the argument with the rest of us when the draw comes out. The receipts will be waiting. The biggest story was never just one match. It was what happened after the match ended. For one unforgettable week, Alex Eala transformed Wimbledon into something even larger than one of the world's greatest tennis tournaments. She became the player everyone wanted to watch. Filipino flags filled the stands. Social media feeds exploded with highlight clips. Television audiences across Southeast Asia stayed awake deep into the night. Every round she survived felt like another chapter in history. Then, suddenly, it was over. The moment Jasmine Paolini closed out the final point, Wimbledon moved on to its next headline. But fans didn't. Across social media, countless posts appeared claiming resale ticket prices had fallen dramatically after Eala's elimination. Whether every screenshot reflected the broader market or not, the conversation itself revealed something impossible to ignore. People weren't only buying tickets to watch Wimbledon. Many were buying tickets to watch Alex Eala. That distinction matters. Throughout tennis history, only a handful of young stars have generated this kind of emotional connection so quickly. Emma Raducanu electrified Britain during her remarkable US Open run. Coco Gauff introduced an entirely new generation of fans to women's tennis. Leylah Fernandez captured the imagination of Canada with her fearless performances in New York. Now, Alex Eala has become that player for the Philippines, and increasingly, for all of Southeast Asia. At just 21 years old, she isn't carrying only her own ambitions anymore. She's carrying the hopes of millions who finally see someone from a part of the world competing with and defeating the sport's biggest names. That kind of connection cannot be manufactured. It has to be earned. And Eala earned it by defeating the defending Wimbledon champion under the brightest lights tennis has to offer. Even in defeat against Jasmine Paolini, she never looked overwhelmed. She fought through discomfort, competed until the final point, and afterward accepted responsibility with remarkable maturity. She admitted her serve wasn't at its best. She acknowledged there was work to do. Then she turned her attention toward the next tournament instead of dwelling on the loss. Champions think that way, long before they become champions. Perhaps that's why one particular message she shared on Instagram resonated so deeply after Wimbledon ended. She reminded her followers that you don't have to win every time to inspire others. That pressure builds stronger people. That setbacks often become the foundation for future success. Those weren't empty motivational words. They became the perfect summary of her Wimbledon campaign. Because when history remembers the summer of 2026, it probably won't begin with the final score against Paolini. It will begin with the night she stunned IGA Swiatek. It will remember the standing ovation, the packed crowds, the sea of Philippine flags, the roar echoing around center court, and the feeling that something entirely new had arrived in women's tennis. Now the tour shifts to North America, Montreal, Cincinnati, then finally, the US Open. If Eala's projected ranking holds, she'll enter New York as the highest-ranked Filipina in tennis history. No longer a surprise qualifier, no longer an underdog few recognize. She'll arrive as a legitimate threat. Every draw released during the hard court swing will suddenly have one question attached to it. Who has to play Alex Eala? Sponsors are watching. Tournament directors are watching. Television networks are watching. Most importantly, the rest of the WTA is watching. Because once you defeated a defending Wimbledon champion on center court, nobody overlooks your name again. The greatest players rarely announce themselves with words. They do it with one unforgettable performance. For Alex Eala, Wimbledon may have been exactly that moment. Not the finish line, the beginning. Years from now, fans may look back at the summer of 2026 and realize they weren't simply witnessing a breakout tournament. They were watching the birth of the Philippines' first genuine global tennis superstar. Whether she reaches the world's top 20 this season, whether she lifts a Grand Slam trophy next year, or whether her biggest triumph still lies somewhere further down the road. One thing already feels undeniable. Alex Eala has changed the conversation. She has changed expectations. And perhaps, just perhaps, she has changed the future of tennis in a region that has waited generations for a player exactly like her. The next chapter begins in New York. And if Wimbledon taught the tennis world anything, it's this. Never underestimate a 21-year-old from Manila with a fearless forehand, relentless belief, and millions of people standing behind her. Because history has a habit of calling her name when the lights shine brightest. The question now isn't whether Alex Eala belongs among the sports elite. The only question left is, how high can she go?